Hello, my name is Bernie and welcome to Bernie's Studio, a channel all about food delivery riding in Singapore. In this episode, I'm going to answer the question that is in almost every delivery rider's mind. What are the best zones to deliver in? In theory, if you do some research on the Quest incentives and search fees offered by either Deliveroo, Foodpanda or Grab, you will be able to pinpoint your best 5. But I decided to try a different method by experiencing it for myself. Last year, I visited every zone on Deliveroo, delivering each week in a different zone until I covered the whole of Singapore. I call it my tour of Singapore, like Tour de France, Urban City Edition. The whole tour took me about 4 months to complete, and I gotta say it was a super eye-opening adventure. I experienced firsthand the vibes of the different neighborhoods, learned how the different buildings are organized, and even how the road names relate to each other. So much fun. Which leads me to this. I'm ready to share with you what I think are the best 5 zones to deliver in. Plus, I not only rate every zone based on the rates, but by these 3 criteria. They are earnings potential. Alright, this comes down to the earnings per hour of the zone. This criteria depends on not just the base rate, but the search fees, Quest incentives, as well as tips. Demand for orders and supply of riders also play a part, because your earnings potential will get severely affected if you're waiting too long to get the next order. Terrain. If you think that the roads of Singapore are mostly flat and smooth, think again. I've discovered super hilly areas, roads with potholes, pebbles, and sometimes uneven surfaces, especially on the extreme left lanes. To score high on this, the zone has to have relatively smooth roads, as well as good connectivity, like how extensive the park connector networks are to make riding easier. Don't forget, e-bikes are only allowed on roads, park connector networks, and shared paths. Uniqueness. When cycling, I like to ride in places with good vibes and interesting scenery. I rate zones high on uniqueness if they leave a lasting impression, and somehow make me want to go back there. Estates that have been around for longer tend to score higher for uniqueness. So think of Marine Parade versus Punggol. So, are you ready? Here are my best 5 zones. At number 5, we have Bedok. Bedok is split into North and South Bedok. North Bedok is more heartlands, and it includes the Bedok Reservoir Road. South Bedok has some landed property areas, and you might also end up delivering into small neighborhoods like Siglap, Eastwood, and East Village near Tanah Merah. The average rate I got from riding with Deliveroo in Bedok was $15 an hour, and orders were consistent. When you ride around Bedok, you will be pleasantly surprised at how rideable the town is. There are wide shared paths along the major roads like Bedok North Avenue 3, Bedok South Road, and Bedok South Avenue 2. This zone takes the number 5 spot because of its rideability, decent earnings potential, and the relaxing vibes with a mix of different lifestyles, like the busy heartland of North Bedok to the private property enclaves of East Village and Sengkang, and also the peaceful stretch of the residential properties overlooking the Bedok Reservoir. Definitely a zone worth exploring. Number 4 goes to SGHG, Hougang. Even though this zone is called Hougang, most of the orders happened in Serangoon. And as of March 2024, Deliveroo has combined this zone with SGAB, Ang Mo Kio Bishan, and SGSP, Sengkang Punggol. On Foodpanda, it's simply called the Serangoon Zone. My average per hour rate for this zone was $15.54 per hour. I like this zone a lot because I found myself just being constantly surprised. One of the main roads that connects this zone is Upper Serangoon Road, which is a noisy multi-lane road that can get very busy with large vehicles and heavy traffic. Then, with just a turn, you get on the smaller roads, and you find them leading to pockets of landed property, like the area where roads are named after fruits, Lorong Liu Lian, Lorong Ong Lai, and of course, the famous Lorong Chuan, Serangoon Gardens, and the Chom Chom Food Centre. I loved riding through alternating scenes, from shop houses to mega malls like Next, to HDB, to landed enclaves, all very interesting experiences. Number 3, Bukit Timah Queenstown, or SGBQ on Deliveroo. For Foodpanda, this zone is called Bukit Timah. This zone is huge and it is home to one of the most affluent residential areas, District 10, as well as District 5, which includes Buena Vista and Clementi. My average hourly rate for this zone was $15.97 per hour. I am not gonna lie, this zone can be challenging. The reason stems from where the hotspots are versus where the customers are located. So the hotspots for pickups would be at Star Vista, Clementi Mall, One North area, Beauty World, and Bukit Timah Plaza. Customer locations can be quite scattered. 1 minute you're riding within the NUS campus. Another minute you're riding down the meandering road of South Buena Vista. Then you get stressed trying to cross over to the opposite sides along the busy Dunnan Road. Don't forget Pasir Panjang and the 70 kilometers an hour West Coast Highway. The only sane road is Commonwealth Avenue West, which can be busy, but at least the cars are not going at very high speeds due to the number of traffic junctions along this road. But having said that, I still put this zone at number 3 because fees are good, and in this neighborhood, you might get more tips. I would say the search fees are comparable with the Jurong East zone, but if you're in Jurong West, try this zone. The rates are definitely better. Number 2 is Katong Geylang, SG Kg on Deliveroo, and Geylang Zone on Food Panda. This zone is just beautiful. Incidentally, Straits Times reached out to me last year to be part of a video series about cycling for work, and they asked me which zone I wanted to film in, and I said, Katong. My average hourly rate for this zone was $16.50. Katong Geylang Zone is quite special. In the north, you start off with more commercial and industrial areas like Paya Lebar and Eunos. Then as you go further south, closer to the east coast, you get culturally rich neighborhoods like Geylang Serai, Joo Chiat. And as you move towards southwest, you arrive at the highly sought after residential neighborhoods at Tanjung Katong, Tanjung Ru, Maya Road, and Fort Road. Good tips, relatively straightforward roads, and great scenery give this zone its second place. And finally, the best zone and most awesome zone in all of Singapore, in my opinion, downtown. On Deliveroo, it is known as the Downtown Cluster, comprising SGBK Bukit Merah, SGHS Harbourfront Sentosa, SGOT Orchard Tanglin, one of my favorite, and SGBG Bugis. There is also one small area in the CBD called SGCC, but I just lumped them together since everything's so close together anyway. On Food Panda, once again simply called SG South. The average per hour rate for this cluster is $16.89 per hour. It doesn't get better than this. You get the hustle and bustle of the CBD, the shopping crowds of Orchard Road, Marina Centre, Suntec City, and not forgetting the diverse neighbourhood of Bugis. One bad thing I can think of for this zone is that it is quite hilly. I've often considered using a manual bicycle, but then I realized I'd end up pushing my bike up those hills. Basically, if you see road names that end with hill or start with mount, you know something's up. Delivery in this zone is relatively easier because of the city layout. It's densely packed, so you'll have eateries very near to customer locations, which makes it much easier to deliver to. The only downside is that the roads are mostly one way. For example, Orchard Road. So it might take a little more time on an e-bike compared to a regular bicycle, as we have to comply with LTA regulations of not cycling on footpaths. I really hope that we'll get more shared paths along busy roads and intersections soon. If you're up for a challenge navigating through traffic and crowds, this zone is for you. And what you get as rewards are the higher search fees, better order flow, and good tips. So there you have it, my best 5 zones. If you'd like in-depth views of these zones, check out my playlist Tour of Singapore 2023 and click through the different zone videos. Now I want to hear from you. What is your best 5? Tell me in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video. Smash that like button if you do, and I hope it inspires you to get out of your own zone and explore Singapore. What's great about a country is that it is really small, so getting from one place to another is not impossible. In my next video, I'll share how I traveled from zone to zone on my e-bike and some tips on where to park your bike. So if you're interested, be sure to subscribe so you'll never miss an episode. Until my next video, ride safe everyone. Bye!